So welcome everybody. If you don't know me already, my name's Jennifer Bing and I work here at the American Friends Service Committee, and I'm very excited to share with you some of the work that we do in our Gaza Unlocked project. If you haven't checked out our website yet, please do at some point, maybe not during the webinar, but after the webinar, we'll be sharing that with you. I know some of you actually who have joined the webinar today helped us in the past in our Gaza work, whether it's hosting a speaker or participating in doing some of the surveys in previous summers. So thanks for tuning in again today. I want to start us off by introducing my colleague Jihad Abu Salim, who will share a little personal connection to this special project, as well as, get us motivated to work on this important crowdsourcing project this summer. Jihad?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for listening in today, and I'm really happy to be on this webinar. My name is Jihad Abu Salim. I work at the American Friends Service Committee in Chicago. I'm originally from a small town called Deir al-Balah, 8 miles south of Gaza City. I left Palestine 5 years ago, and currently I'm honored to be part of AFSC's team here. As you can see in the picture, this is a picture from my family's farm in Gaza. My town's name, Deir al-Balah, means the monastery of dates. My town is famous for dates, for citrus, barley, wheat, and olives. This is a photo of my family's olive farm in Deir al-Balah. And when I heard about the strawberry project, I got very excited about it, because as someone who grew up in a community of farmers who worked the land for centuries, it's really exciting for me to see that Gaza is talked about through a beautiful aspects of its story that is not heard of very frequently, one that shows the agricultural and farming aspects of Gaza's experience. After I left Gaza and I moved to the US, Gaza strawberries were something I really missed whenever I go grocery shopping. This made me really happy to hear that AFSC is doing this strawberry project. Our strawberries back in Gaza are high quality, as you can see in the photo. Their smell, color, and taste are very distinct and unique. And the fact that they can be talked about, the fact that they can grow in a context of blockade, war, and isolation is magnificent and speaks to Gaza's stories and the story of its people. So there is a metaphor in strawberries, and they talk a lot about Gaza's story. So I'm very excited about this project.
Thank you, Jihad. Yes. Certainly, I should have said at the beginning, many of us have been watching Gaza more intently in the last 6 weeks, of course, with the Great March of Return, but also over now a decade of the blockade. And one thing that we're constantly trying to do through Gaza Unlocked and our work at the American Friends Service Committee is finding new ways to connect everyday Americans to Gaza and to the people of Gaza, and to develop some empathy and concern, and also motivate them to act. I want to introduce my colleague Carly, who is going to share with us a little bit about the what we learned from the research end. Carly is in our communications department and has helped to pull together the results of our work last year and think about ways that we can message and talk about Gaza this summer. So, Carly?
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thanks for having me as part of this webinar. As Jennifer said, my name is Carly Goodman, and I'm the Communications Analyst here at American Friends Service Committee. I'm in the Philadelphia office. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about why we designed this project. So we designed this in the past couple of years with two main purposes. The first being that we want to better understand where our audience is. What do they already know about Gaza? What are they already thinking about Gaza? And what is the best way to inform them about the situation, raise awareness, and move them to action? So my job has a lot to do with understanding our audiences and also testing out messages to see what really works. And in the case of our Gaza Unlocked campaign, we found that there's actually kind of an opening for changing the conversation, because for the first time historically, polling is really showing shifting public opinion in the United States, growing sympathy for Palestinians. So we feel that there's really an opportunity right now to start new conversations and to really move new audiences to action on this issue. But our initial research showed that most people know almost nothing about Gaza. And we also found that people feel bad when asked about it because it's something they don't know very much about. Maybe they think that they should. And we know from other research that people can't learn or change their minds when they feel fatalistic or hopeless or bad about themselves. So the second purpose of this project is to get people to listen. And to be open to new information about Gaza. And we have other research that shows one way to get people to be open, to listen, to absorb new information is to start a conversation. It's to ask questions, it's to listen to people. And so by opening the conversation with this surprising question, what do you know about strawberries in Gaza? We're finding that we can start making these conversations and make starting conversations just so much easier. And I think, Jennifer, that you're going to tell folks what we've learned, especially over last summer when we had so many folks go out and conduct these surveys.
Great. Thank you, Carly. The AFSC volunteers and staff, you see my colleague Dalit Baum here in this picture in Oakland, went out to farmers markets, holding the poster and conducting surveys. We talked to about 370 people at these different farmers markets last year, and they were farmers markets. Many of them were in the Midwest, but also on the two coasts, and people generally answered the question about strawberries, that they didn't know that strawberries were grown there, but that they were curious to know more about Gaza. So the other thing that when we talked about strawberries and the blockade with people, then we also asked them about where they were getting their news. And that was also very interesting. My colleague Joyce, who's a long-term volunteer with me here in Chicago. The two of us went out several times last summer talking to people about strawberries in Gaza. And Joyce, maybe you could share a couple of memories that you have from that experience with people today.
Yes, good afternoon to everybody. I'm glad to be able to share this experience with you. An introvert, so going out, when Jennifer said, let's go to the market, I quivered, but it's so much fun. So even if you're an introvert, you will find it so rewarding to go out and talk with these people. And I'm struck that they take our surveys so seriously. They really consider where to put their dots, or where at the bottom it asks the question, where in the news have you heard? And they really think about it. So that gave me hope that once they got our flyer, they go back and want to learn more. And I just want to echo how good Gaza strawberries are. I went to this regular market when I lived in Hebron for 3 months a year ago. And the fellow who was selling fruit said, "You need to try these strawberries. We don't get them very often. They are the best." And I haven't had any that equal those in the United States, even from my own garden. So, so it was easy to start conversations. You know, stickets, the poster. People were curious about what we were doing, and very eager to respond to what we had. And you know, we even came across Palestinian Americans who didn't know about the strawberries. So, so you find a friendly face and you begin talking, and it just falls from there.
And I think that, thanks, Joyce. I think some people might find that surprising, actually, that people wouldn't be more hostile. I think we tend to think that anytime you talk about Palestine, even with people who are maybe have progressive points of view and other things, that this issue becomes difficult. But I think that we found, actually, starting with the topic of strawberries, really started off in a different place. I think we only had one really hostile person talk to us last summer. And even in the conversations with him, we were able to move to a new place. Just to give an example, he, of course, brought up, well, yes, I know about Gaza, and I know about Gaza because they hate Israelis, they fire rockets, and there's a blockade there because they hate each other and they will forever. And so I listened to him, and that is an important part of this project, is to try to not necessarily pick a fight with somebody, but to listen. And in that conversation, I said, well, you know, if it sounds to me like what you're really concerned about is Israel's security. And he says, yes, I am. That is what is concerning to me. And I said, well, I think that it's shown that the blockade itself hasn't brought Israel security, correct, in the last 10 years? And he said, right, you know, rockets, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, so that seems like a failed policy. So maybe we need to start thinking about other ways of resolving the conflict rather than impoverishing 2 million people in Gaza and restricting their access to the outside world, etc. And he said, oh, well, but they will hate each other forever. And I said, well, but, you know, people said the same thing about Northern Ireland. And today we see Protestants and Catholics living in the same country. And he paused and said, you must be a Quaker. But, you know, it was you know, I tell that story because I do think that this project gives us an opportunity, if whether you're an introvert like Joyce or not an introvert like me, just to talk to everyday people. And I think it was helpful, for instance, last summer, to get the feedback that many people, right, Joyce? Remember, people didn't know where Gaza was. And so we wanted to add onto the handout that we handed to people a map of Gaza, and so that we could show it on the map and where it is in relationship to Israel and so forth. So there were things that we learned. And yeah, I don't know, is there anything else, Joyce, that you remember from last summer?
Well, I just remember that it was easy to go up to a group of people because someone in that group was always eager to talk and to find out what we were about. And it just added more conversation to it. We were with one group who had just been on the Israeli side of Gaza. And she was eager to talk to us about what was going on in Gaza and really opened up the conversation there. And when we mentioned the blockade, people wanted to know what is being blockaded. Why can't people get in or out? So people are eager to know. It's our news that doesn't let them know that. And we had delightful conversations with vendors who were not busy at that time, and they were eager to find out what we know. And I'll just add that it's easy to judge people who want to talk with you. Those who don't will tell you no right away or turn their head. And I think you can assume that most people who sort of invite you in will be eager to hear about Gaza and what it's about. So I really encourage you to do this. It's a good experience.
Thanks, Joyce. Yeah, we're excited to see that people are eager to join us. So many of you who are joining us today on the webinar and others who have emailed us to say, yes, I want to have these conversations in my community. It doesn't have to be at a farmer's market. It could be at a summer festival. It could be at a family reunion. It could be any place where there are a lot of people gathered. The poster that you see here is actually a really nice way to draw people to you. I think a couple of times when we were just standing on the street corner in Chicago next to the market, people came up to us and looked at the poster and wanted to see what we were talking about. So we've conveniently tried to make this project do-it-yourself kind of activity. That on our Gaza Unlocked website, we've compiled everything on one page with strawberry as the thing easy to remember. But this is a picture of the poster that you can download from the website and have printed at a copy shop. Whether you go to Staples or many people don't have, it's an 18 by 24 inch poster, so it might not be something that you can print on your home printer, but it's pretty easy to do at a coffee shop. So what you need is the poster. You need either stickers like the garage sale stickers that people seem to like the stickers, but you can also, if you laminate your board, or even if you don't, people could also use a marker and mark into the different boxes the response to the poster. And we do also on the website have a handout that describes what do you know about tells people about strawberries in Gaza and how prior to that blockade, how many 7,000 tons of strawberries were distributed to the West Bank and to Europe and the Middle East. And now, because of the blockade, that's been reduced to about 1,000 tons. So there's those kind of statistics, but also you don't have to be an expert on Gaza. You know, we're lucky to have Jihad in Chicago to help us learn the history and connect us to the also daily realities there, since his family still is living there. But you don't have to have that. You can say, you know, I don't know the answer to that question, but a lot of the material is available on the Gaza Unlocked website. So here's a picture from Indiana where one of the volunteers started having conversations with people about Gaza. So yeah, I think we can go on to the next slide. So once you put the answers on the poster, we'd like you to share the poster with us online. If you take a photograph and tag Gaza Unlocked on social media, we'll see it because we're following that hashtag. Or you can tag American Friends Service Committee, and we can also see it that way. Would love to see communities this summer, showing the participation in the various communities. once you send us the results and photos, what happens then, Carly?
Thanks, Jennifer. So we really want to hear back from you. We want to receive pictures of your posters, or you can even put the poster in the mail and send it to us if you don't want to keep it permanently as decoration in your house. But we really are using the results of these surveys to shape and inform our communications about Gaza. So the emails that we're writing, the action alerts that we're crafting, the materials we're putting together, we really want to know where people are at in terms of their awareness of the situation, and that's going to help inform all kinds of campaign strategies and communication strategies on this issue. So by joining us, you are really, really helping American Friends Service Committee out by helping support the process by which we create our strategic communications, as well as just going out and having those conversations in your community, at your family reunion, if you want to wade into those waters, farmers markets, meetings. You're also helping to raise awareness, sort of one conversation at a time, which we know from communications research it's slow, but it is one of the most effective ways to shape people's thinking and to change minds on really important social justice issues. So we really hope that you'll participate. And here in the Communications Research Office, we really hope to receive your results. So email us, put them on social media, reach out and ask questions. We're here to support the work. Thanks, Jennifer.
Yeah, thanks, Carly. You know, it really is a great way to spread awareness in your community. Maybe not just share the results with us, but you could also share the results in your local newspaper by writing a letter to the editor, or sending a message to your member of Congress that, hey, I went out, we went out in our farmers markets, and these are the kind of concerns that we heard from people there about the blockade. I know that in some meetings I've had with my members of Congress, I've brought up the farmers markets as an example of how concerned people are about the human rights of Palestinians in Gaza, and how they are appalled that our government hasn't done more to stop the blockade and to respect the rights of Palestinians. So there are many ways that you can use this research. If maybe the next slide, I'll say that we do hope that we can get at least 20 volunteers to do the survey this summer, and to entice you to join us. You don't get a baby, but you could get this beautiful strawberry tote bag that we have on our store. You can actually buy one if you'd like, but for the first 10 people that participate in our surveys this summer, we'll send you a tote bag as a sign of our appreciation. But I haven't seen any, so thank you all. I want to give us an opportunity for a few questions if you have them. If you want to put them in the chat box, and or if you want to ask it online, yeah, we'll take a few questions now before we close out.
Hi, my name's Rachel. I'm calling from Florida. I was wondering, besides trying to end the blockade, what are we doing overall for the situation over there? I mean, it is horrible. I mean, I have a local store in my community that I exclusively get products from, and they're Palestinian owned. Mm-hmm. I mean, what more do we need to wake up our politicians to do the right thing? It's a genocide over there.
Yeah, it is pretty horrific if you hear the news and you're following the situation there. It's almost immobilizing. That's what I hear in your voice. It's like you do feel desperate. I have to believe that the more people that we have talking about Gaza will make a difference, and maybe people that are close to you will know your passion for the issue, but it often just doesn't translate into calling on mainstream media to be covering this story. We need to ask our politicians to end the blockade or to visit Gaza. There haven't been any elected officials traveling to Gaza for almost a decade now. So those are things that we can ask for. And also on our Gaza Unlocked site, there are ways that we have like letters to the editor that you can send, letters to your members of Congress. We believe that through Gaza Unlocked, that we think that sharing stories is a way that will that will make people connect. I don't know if you've been there yourself or if you have friends there, but you know that is what motivates you. So we want that. We want others to do the same. I don't know, Jihad, if you have something else you would add to that.
Yes, I mean, yes, thank you, Jennifer. And I think it is important to keep the conversation going, mainly because the more we talk about Gaza, the more it becomes easier also for people like me, Palestinians from Gaza and from the rest of Palestine, who are doing this work to actually engage in the US and talk about this issue. And I think calling our elected representatives, following up with them is a very important thing, regardless of where we live and the politics of our representatives. I was really honored to be to speak at the mock congressional hearing, which AFSC organized in Indianapolis. People can watch the video and maybe we can follow up and send links about the hearing to those listening to. And this was a chance to introduce and educate and have a conversation with people from Indianapolis about the situation in Gaza. So calling upon our elected representatives to condemn the killing of protesters on the Gaza border and calling upon them to address the crisis of Palestinian refugees in Gaza and elsewhere, and also call to end the blockade because of the urgency of the situation back in Gaza. The UN said that Gaza will be unlivable by 2020. It's unlivable now. So the more pressure, the more effort we put on our elected representatives, it makes a difference.
Thank you. Yes, we do have a, thank you, Jihad, so much. We did have a very practical question about whether or not one has to get permission to enter farmers markets. That really varies. Some people who participated last summer actually got permission to have an information table, and they set up a table and had flyers out. We have a lot of fact sheets also available to download and print out from Gaza Unlocked. Some people didn't have a table. For Joyce and I, it was easier to just walk around with the poster. It helps to have two people doing that together because one person can talk and hand out the stickers or the marker for people to participate. But in that case, we're walking through just like anybody else, and we were never told to leave because we were mobile. But yes, we did have at least one volunteer last summer that asked for permission to have a table, and they were told, "Oh, we don't allow any political activity in our farmers market," which, so you have to that's why we're broadening it to not just be at farmers markets, any place where people gather. We hope that these surveys will be conducted this summer. I know in Chicago we have a lot of summer outdoor festivals, and we hope to have volunteers attending those all summer long, so that we get a good cross section both of ages and people and ethnic communities participating in this important conversation.
Hello,
well,
Jennifer.
Yeah.
This is Virginia from Kentucky, And I did it last summer, and I loved it. It was really fun. I'm an extrovert, but I took an introvert with me, and it was good to have 2 additional hands to help me hold the posters and the stickers and all that. But people were very relieved when they found out they were going to do this anonymously, and I would even kind of turn my head when they were putting the dot wherever it was appropriate, so that they would know I wasn't giving them a test that they were going to get a grade on. It was just in general to get information from the public.
Great. That's a wonderful, wonderful addition that, one, we're not testing you. And the other thing, I know in Chicago, people are relieved that you're not asking them for money, because there are a lot of people that are out in the summers canvassing, trying to get people to sign up and give money to things. And, of course, we always welcome donations to the American Friends Service Committee. This isn't the purpose of this project. Maxine, you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm calling from Burnaby, British Columbia. We're adjacent to a including strawberry producing area. Do you have any problems trying to push quote unquote imported strawberries in areas where there are local strawberries, say in California or other places like that?
So we're not selling strawberries. We're just asking people what they know about strawberries. We're not saying invest in strawberry farmers in Gaza, although that might be a good idea.
I'm not saying buy Gazan strawberries.
No, not buy Gaza. I wish we could. The issue is that they can't export them, and I don't think they'd ever actually make it to the United States, even without the blockade, given the distance. But actually, I think going into strawberry regions might really resonate. And if you read some of the stories, we hope to have a new video coming out next month about a Palestinian farmer, strawberry farmer in Gaza. But it might pique their interest to hear about somebody like them and try to imagine what it would be like to have 4 hours of electricity and no clean water. No ability to export, etc.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Thanks. Great. Well, I'd like to thank you all for joining us. This has been recorded, so you'll be able to share this with other people that you might want to recruit to join you in collecting surveys for us this summer. And I want to especially thank my colleagues Jihad and Carly, Diana, and Irit in the background, who's been helping with post links in the chat box, and Joyce always for her wonderful volunteering with us here at AFSC. So thank you so much for joining us today, and hope to see you online and with your results coming in, and maybe carrying a strawberry tote bag someday. Thank you.